What's happening, everybody? We back with another reaction video. I'll be reacting to three true scary Walmart horror stories. I believe this is from Mr. Nightmare. I think so. Pretty sure Mr. Nightmare. I will put the original. I'll put a link to the original video in the description down below. So, without further ado, here we go.
My name is Samantha. I'm 20 years old and I work at a Walmart by a small town called Jackson in Alabama. Since I don't go to school full time, my boss would oftentimes put me on an overnight shift, back when the store was open 24 hours a day.
Jackson, Alabama.
Given that it was a super center, there would still be a number of employees working. My shift this one particular night was 10 p.m. to 7 a.m. I was one of only a couple employees doing stock work. There was one or two employees at registers up front. Given that our store sits in the countryside of Alabama, we didn't really get much business at these insane hours of the night. However, it was a prime restocking period. I didn't personally know the other employees working that night, but it's not like we'd run into each other in the giant store anyway. I started my night folding pants in the men's department and generally tidying up. I kept headphones in at night because usually there would be no one to tell me to take them out. The customer came to the jeans section, and at that time it was around 11:30 p.m., so it wasn't really that weird. People would still come in and close shop till usually around midnight. The customer came up to me and asked me if we had any more of the specific pants he found in a different waist size. I apologized and told him only whatever was on the rack. He thanked me and walked away. I made accidental eye contact with him as soon as he stood by the rack putting the jeans back. It was kind of awkward. He walked away and I continued with my work. Some time passed and the store started to look like a ghost town. No one to be seen as far as the eye could see. I think it was like 1 a.m. I had made my way over to the appliances section. I was doing a lot of back and forth work with boxes from the back section where we kept all the items that were yet to go out. I brought a wagon full of boxes to one of the aisles and started stocking the shelves. Because the shelves were empty though, I was able to see someone through the next aisle over, and they were watching me. Well, only up until he noticed me notice him. Then he looked away. But his eyes looked really familiar. I stepped closer to get a better view, and I realized it was the same customer from like 2 hours earlier. How in the world could he still be in the store? Without making it obvious, I took the wagon with me and
Creep.
passed the next aisle over just to get a look and see if the man had any items in his hands. His hands were completely empty. No way could he be shopping for 2 hours and not pick up a single thing. Something wasn't right. I quickly finished up restocking the shelf with coffee machines and other appliances, then brought the empty wagon to the back area. I chilled out in there for a while because, quite frankly, I felt like that guy might have been following or watching me longer than I realized. I played on my phone for a little while in the employee lounge. Then when I figured it was time to get back to work, I decided I would do grocery work instead, just to be in a different part of the store. I went into the dairy cooler and filled a bunch of crates with dairy products like milk and yogurts. This took a lot of time to do because I had to check the dates on the products and such. Over the loud sound of the giant refrigerators keeping the cooler cold, I heard the door to the dairy cooler burst open. There was conveniently a gap in the boxes sitting on one of the pallets that allowed me to peek through it to the door of the cooler. And I shit you not, it was that same customer. I ran to cover under one of the shelves and pushed a big box full of eggs in front of me. I didn't have to worry about making noise because the refrigerators were so loud. For anyone wondering why I decided to hide, well, I already assumed this guy was hanging around the store watching me. Seeing him in the employees only section, never mind that, coming into the dairy cooler, seemingly something bad was definitely about to go down. I hid behind that box with my head down for the longest time, expecting to hear the doors to the cooler open and close eventually. After a while of hiding and not looking, I assumed maybe he left after looking for me. I lifted my head
Of course
for
he
the
didn't.
first time and looked up in front of the box and screamed.
It's right
He
there
was right there,
with a hook
smiling at
hand.
me, standing over the box. But his smile vanished as soon as I started to scream. He tried putting his hand on my lips to muffle my scream, but I didn't allow that to go any further. I pushed the box of eggs over, right into him, and the eggs falling to the floor made him step back, looking down at his shoes. I ran right past him, but he didn't grab me, so I continued to run till I found another stock worker and told him to help
Is a
me.
chick?
The employee's name was Bob, I remember from his name tag. Suddenly, the man from the dairy cooler came up to the two of us and apologized, explaining that he was from corporate and was coming to make sure everything was running smoothly.
Corporate my
He
ass.
said he didn't mean to scare me and was simply checking up on me in the dairy cooler to make sure I wasn't slacking off.
Corporate. It's like,
This
did he
Bob
say it's
guy
like
seemed to believe
3
it
in
all.
the morning or
But
some
then again,
shit?
he didn't seem very smart at all.
Corporate doesn't come at 3 in the
I
morning.
asked the man why he put his hand on my mouth, and he said he was trying to avoid making a scene. Then, shockingly, he gave me the order to finish up the appliance section, and he disappeared. As he was speed walking away down the aisle, I called out, "What's your name?" And he called back, "Tom." And just like that, he was gone. The next day, I called one of the
Tom
managers
is a
and asked if there
fucking
was supposed to be
creep.
a visit from corporate the night before, and if a creepy man named
But
Tom
hell
sounded
no, I wonder if
familiar.
there's been no fucking visit.
My
from
manager,
corporate.
Margaret, said it sounded like complete bullshit. There was no record of anyone from corporate named Tom who was supposed to come visit, nor would anyone from corporate ever be in the store at 2 a.m.
Oh, it's too late.
They
Like,
then went
yeah.
ahead and checked the camera
The
footage,
fuck?
and a police report was filed when they realized this was a random man. And the cameras proved this man had been stalking me between the aisles for the better part of the first few hours of my shift. I told Margaret I couldn't do night shifts anymore after that.
He's about to
and
rape
she
the shit
understood.
out of you.
I still work there, but more so as a day stock person or a cashier. What's one place you can go to and find the weirdest, freakiest creatures in our society? I swear I've never been to a single Walmart where I didn't see at least one eye-catchingly strange human being. Strange does not even cut it for what I'm about to tell you.
Oh, yeah.
It was the
you
Thursday
get that a
before
lot at
Black Friday.
Walmarts.
My Walmart was open extra late. I was in there around 11 o'clock looking for a new laptop. And by chance, I picked up off the shelf the last one that was being promoted for a really good Black Friday.
Laptops at Walmart?
As I grabbed it, though, some big, revolting,
Like his
dirty
Best
looking
Buy
guy
is just a
comes up to me
Walmart of
and insists
electronics.
he needs a laptop very badly. I nervously said, "I'm sorry, it's the last one." Then he got angry at me and started making a bit of a scene. The man clearly wasn't normal, and my heart started racing simply because I don't get put on guard in these kinds of situations a lot. As others looked on at the commotion this big guy was making, I walked away with the laptop box quickly and went straight to a line. He kept yelling at me as I walked away. It was unbelievable. Some other customers on the line even tried to laugh with me and make me feel better, saying the guy was a nut.
It's funny, I don't get that
I
often.
get
People,
home.
maybe
My family's
because
all asleep around.
I'm a 6'2",
I go outside to sit in the yard by the pool and set up my
275
new
pound
laptop.
black man.
Then the light on the side of the house turned on. The one that turns on due to movement. I went to check the side of the house to make sure no one was there. Would that thing go off once in a while? Yeah, but there's a small patch of woods right next to the house, so animals would often run on the property, triggering it. Either way, I'm kind of a big pussy, so I went inside, locked the door, and finished setting up my laptop in the living room. The car alarm suddenly started going off outside. I recognized it to be my Cadillac.
This dude really wanted
I looked
that.
out the window to confirm
That
this.
cell phone. That
I ran to get my
iPhone.
keys upstairs, then tried
That
pressing the panic
laptop.
button to turn off the alarm. It didn't work from the inside, so I stepped out to the porch and clicked it off. But then I noticed a car parked in front of our house that wasn't there earlier when I got home. And any cars parked in the street on our block was suspicious enough. We live in a closed-off community, and everyone has huge driveways. I stepped down from the stoop and realized there was someone sitting in that car. I went back inside and knocked
All
the
this
door.
time, you could have went to
I went to
another
my mom's
Walmart
room.
and got
I
another
told her I
laptop.
think someone outside means us harm.
You wasting all this.
My
This
mom and
dude's
dad have a
crazy.
complicated
Just
situation,
insane.
so my dad doesn't always stay with us. It would have been a different story having my dad there to tell about this. My mom came downstairs with me, noticeably worried based on what I told her. My mom took a look through the peephole in the front door, then gasped and put her hands over her mouth.
When you don't have a dad in your house,
Felt
you
ready
need to
to
have a
throw
gun
up,
in the house.
and I saw
Hell,
a
even if
huge
you have a
man
dad,
standing on
you
the other
need to
side of
have
the
a
door on
gun.
our stoop. I whispered to my mom, I think that man followed me from Walmart. Suddenly, the doorknob started to turn as the man tried opening the door. When it didn't work, he started pounding on the door. That's when my mom let out a gasp and cry, and my younger sister came out from her room, who also started to panic when becoming wise to the situation. The pounding stopped, and there was a silence for a while.
You
other than my
opened up the
mom's
trap
voice on the
door.
phone with the police. A few minutes went by. My mom's still on the line with 911 with police en route, and there was a loud bang and crash downstairs in the den. A window was shattered. My mom and sister both screamed and cried. I told them to run upstairs while I locked the door to the den. I waited down there, expecting an attempt at the door or a bang. Nothing. Surprisingly, I heard a police car briefly wail its siren outside my house. It was the quickest response time I'd ever heard of. I ran outside to lead them to the den where the broken glass was. There they found the huge, dirty, crazy-looking man hiding behind one of our couches. He was arrested at once and we pressed charges. All the while he was screaming profanities and threats at me, not helping his case. Both cops told me the guy seemed
Because he's
unstable and
fucking
on some
crazy.
kind of drug,
Yes.
but told us to get a good night's rest because he wouldn't be bothering us again.
I don't know about drugs. He's just
So
crazy.
while it may be fun to people watch at Walmart and laugh at some of the goofy things you see, realize you may also find some of the more dangerous people in our society in your local Walmart.
And be careful who you laugh at. You may get motherfucker follow your ass home, try to rape you and shit.
Working the night shift at Walmart as a night stock person
On the
was
night
my second
shift.
job when I was finishing up college. I needed to pay off my loans, so I had to make money however possible. I didn't deal with customers or anything. I would just sign for night deliveries, do warehouse work, and stock shelves in the store during after hours. A typical shift would usually be either 11 to 7 or 12 to 7. On July 9th, 2015, a Thursday night, I still have it locked into my brain. I was midway through my shift in the electronics department when I saw in the corner of my eye someone walk past the aisle I was working in. This wouldn't usually catch my attention if it weren't for the fact that there were only two other workers in the building with me that night, Alvin and Baco. They were both wearing the same staff shirts I was wearing. I would know because we all clocked in at the same time. The person I saw in the corner of my eye was wearing all black, so I naturally walked to the end of the aisle and did a little peep around the shelf. No one was there. I yelled both Alvin and Baco's names, so when they didn't answer, it made it even stranger. But regardless, I went back to work.
Pick
I
up
was
one of the
holding
bottles
a
of
piece
soda.
bread, and I told
Protect
myself
yourself.
I'd go when I finished working that aisle. Seconds later, there was a huge crash a few aisles down. It actually startled me. I ran over to see what it was, and a bicycle was somehow knocked off its hook. The hook was still fine and in place. It seemed like someone would have had to put effort into knocking this down. I hung it back up and started walking around the aisles, suspicious as hell. I got to the last aisle towards the back of the store, which was the paper and cleaning aisle. Then there was this freaky-ass sound that I could best describe as a laugh. It sounded like it came from literally the next aisle over. So once again, I did a short run back to that aisle and felt my heart drop when I saw a man dressed in all black, waiting by the end of the aisle with his back facing me, but his head turned so that all I saw was only half his face. Then he suddenly ran, not towards me, but down some other aisle. I heard his footsteps running around. I was faced with a choice of chasing after him or going to find my two coworkers.
Chase out there.
I chose the latter.
Work at
All
Walmart.
the
You
while,
not
I
get
heard
paid
these
enough for
freakish
that.
laughing sounds and
Plus,
footsteps
you're
that I
not
honestly
secured.
felt like were circling me. I found Alvin in the women's department and
The
told him to
fuck
be on
is
the
after you,
lookout for someone
Pennywise
who
the
wasn't meant to
dancing
be in the
clown?
building dressed in all black. We didn't have walkie-talkies, so I asked him to tell Baco if he ran into him.
Sound like some
I
supernatural
excused
shit.
myself because I couldn't hold it any longer. I had to go to the bathroom. I ran to the employees only bathroom, which was in the warehouse section. I put a nest of toilet paper on the seat in one of the stalls and sat down. And yes, I'm the kind of person to sit when I pee. The door to the bathroom opened and closed. Naturally, with 3 to 4 people in the building, I said, "Who is that?" And with no answer, I assumed the worst. I heard that
As you
horrific
should.
laughing again, and someone stepped into view from between the crack in the door. Looking right in, they stepped closer until the crack was completely covered, and all I saw of their face was an eye. Then the whispering began. Unintelligible whispering, but the echo from the bathroom just made it more unsettling. I just remembered I had Alvin's phone number saved on my phone, so I got it out and called him at once. I was very loud with what I was saying, telling Alvin to get to the bathroom at once and help me. I stayed on the line with him and watched as the man on the other side of the stall laughed one more time, then ran out of the bathroom. I told Alvin to hurry, and 20 to 30 seconds later, Alvin entered the bathroom. He said he didn't see anyone on his way there. We didn't have any security guys working in the store.
That's what I'm saying.
We
Some
couldn't even go
supernatural
look at the
shit.
cameras. I stayed by Alvin the rest of the night, helping in whatever sections he was working in, because safety in numbers. I texted my boss that night, and when I woke up at 3 p.m. the next day, I read his response. He said all the camera screens returned static footage from the night before. Nobody
See?
went and turned them off as far as he knew.
Supernatural bullshit.
I got chills reading his texts. He believed my story and assumed it was related to the cameras.
And then
But
I
with no
quit.
video proof of a breaking and entering or
That's
trespassing,
like a Walmart I used to
I
go
don't
to
think there was
down
anything he
south.
could do. It was all above my pay grade, though. That was the only night shift I've ever had where something truly unexplainable happened.
No, it sounds like something's underwater. It's like something rubbing together and it's underwater. See, it's stuff like that. I mean, I love the night shift. I love working night shifts. I usually hate working like day shifts. I like the less human interaction I have, the better. The better it is for me and everybody else. Because I've worked retail for, oh my god. Customer service wasn't bad. Like I worked at like human resources and stuff like that. But when you deal with like retail, oh, if you work in retail, God bless you. Like especially if you like it. Like I mean, even if you, I know people who like dealing with people who enjoy being around people and talking to people, and they hate retail. And I know people who are the opposite. They hate being around people, but they like retail. You know, because it's usually something where now you don't always get the same exact problems. And you can it's usually a fast paced type, depending on the time of day. But I fucking hated retail. Oh my god. I worked my first job was retail. This was like 2005. I worked at a movie store, and I remember it was a guy there. It was just me and my supervisor, because it was me, my supervisor, and another girl. But she was in the back mostly, so I didn't really see her all that much. And then it was just me and my supervisor up front. And I'm on the cash register. The supervisor was like, she's like, I get on the cash register. And then she asked me if I could put the movies back up on the shelves from the return bin. So I was like, okay, so I started putting the movies up. And people never put movies back where they're supposed to. I had to check everything, make sure all the movies are back where they're supposed to be on that display. I'm walking around, a guy comes in, and he's walking around, and I'm like in the back corner, and he walks me, because apparently, I can't remember, but they used to sell porn at that place, but then the place they had bought over by two brothers, the company, and then they were very religious, so they said we don't sell porn. I mean, not we don't rent porn anymore. And this guy came in, he was dirty and had like a long, it looked like it used to be beige trench coat, but now it's like it looked like a trench coat like somebody who works on a car and some shit. Like it was just filthy and dirty. It looked like it was turning dark brown. And he walked up. He was looking around the back. And he's like, "Where?" And he walked right past. He didn't ask me anything. He walked back up to the front, and I moved a little bit closer so I could hear what was going on, just in case, because he looked like he was angry. And I walked up to the front. And he was like, he just like, he said, "Where's the porn?" And I was like, and my supervisor, she was at the counter. She was like, "So we don't rent porn anymore. We stopped doing that." She said like a year or so ago. At that point, I didn't even realize they had porn. I guess they had porn there because I've been living there up to that point like 5 years, and been going to that same video store, and I'd never really paid attention to porn. And he was like upset. He goes, "I want some porn," and I was like, at first I'm sitting there and, like I'm waiting to see if I need to step in. He's like, "How come y'all don't sell porn no more?" He kept saying sell, and she said, "Sir, we just the owners just don't want to sell, they don't want to rent porn anymore." And he's like, "Well, where am I supposed to get my porn at?" And I'm like, "Oh my god!" And I walked up, I was like, "Sir, we don't have porn." I was like, you can get porn on the internet. Just get online. Even back then, I was like, you can go on the internet and look up porn. I was like, you can go do that. He was like, he didn't even say that. He just like looked at me all crazy. Eyes over, like, and all. He looked like he was hot. His eyes were bloodshot red. His hair was all greasy, and it's funny because you know people's hair be greasy. And it's not because they put grease in their hair. It's they like grease coming out of their scalp. And like he might have put some water on his hands and did like this when he went out. I was like, well, at least he somewhat cares about his appearance, but not enough to like put on some cleaner clothes and not smell like a damn open sewage manhole cover. And I was like, oh my god. And he was just looking at me. He stood there, looked at me for about for about, I want to say, it was probably about 10, 15 seconds. And I was just standing there, like, I'm just waiting for him. Because I didn't get too close. I had at least a little bit of an arm's length between me and him. So I was like, I don't get too close to pull a knife out or something. And he just walks out. He had to walk past me to get out the exit. And he tried to like shoulder check me, which I thought was interesting. And I just kind of like moved out the way and he missed my shoulder. And then it made him even more upset. And he just walked out. He tried to slam the door, but the doors were made where you couldn't slam them. And go they close on their own. And she was looking at me. I was like, at this time it was like around, cause we were getting ready to close. It was like, we closed at midnight. I want to say it was around 11:30 or something. And you start doing closing procedures like at least an hour before you go, so you're not there another hour and a half after you close. But that dude, I was like, cause he had his hand in his pocket too, and I'm like, oh man, this dude pull out a fight. And I had like a stack of movies, cause I walked up with a stack of like movies in my hand, just in case to defend myself and stuff, cause he had his hand like in both pockets. He took his right hand out of his pocket and just had his left hand in his pocket. And I'm just like, I was like, if it go down, I said, I hope it's not a gun. I don't want it to be anything, but I hope it's not a gun. That way I get, at least if it's a knife, at least it's more likely I can defend myself a lot better than a gun. But that shit was... But yeah, like I said, I love night shifts. Still love night shifts, even though you might deal with some crazy people, but hey, that's the price you pay. They do usually just leave. Like, you deal with, mentally ill people and stuff like that. But this shit here, these motherfuckers trying to rape people. Like, these is crazy. These were crazy. When you follow somebody home for a fucking laptop that you could have, if you didn't waste your time there, you could have went somewhere else and got another laptop. Like, you fucking crazy. And then this dude trying to cover that chick's mouth. He telling us I'm from corporate, bitch. You don't get your ass out of there telling you from corporate. But it's 2:00 in the morning. People, corporate does not. Corporate may go somewhere. Like, I've seen people go in there, oh, we got corporate coming, and usually that corporate doesn't just show up. And not that type of. It's not like a safety inspection where they just sometimes just randomly show up and just to see if you following safety procedures all the time. So they show up so that they don't schedule according. But corporate schedules. I've worked at a place where corporate has come down, like warehouse or wherever. Or like when I was in the military, we had base commanders walking through. They always say, hey, I'm coming over, at this time tomorrow. So we knew when they were coming, and they came at that time. When they didn't, they canceled. So it wasn't just a pop in and a surprise. They higher ups and stuff. They don't do that. At least they're not really supposed to do that. Their shit has to be scheduled, and they don't have time to be just randomly going over, popping in to see how shit going. That's not their job. They do that shit just, but hey, like they make you think that they care and all that shit, but they don't pop like that shit. I'm just here at 2:00 in the morning just to see what you guys are doing. I'm like, you a fucking. I would have gotten his face. Like, you a goddamn liar. I would have probably started beating it. You'll try to put your hand over my, like, that's what I think that had to be a woman. He said it was a guy, the other person, who tried to put his hand over his mouth. So I'm like, a guy would not try to do that to another guy unless he thought he could physically take him. Like, it was like a big guy and maybe like a shorter, smaller, petite guy, and you try to like do that to him. Like, you wouldn't. Like, I wish somebody would try to put their hand over my mouth, tell me something. They just pop in like that. I'm sorting boxes and I look over and this motherfucker's like on the other side about looking at me. All so you can see a fist just come straight out in my face. Like, no, it did. Even if I yell, like, oh shit, and he try to reach out, I'm gonna fucking just do like to just crush his hand. Crazy, fucking touch me. Anyway, I hope you all enjoyed my reaction, everybody. Remember to like, comment, subscribe, and share. And I'll see y'all in the next video. Peace.